Hey, Scott Walker coming to you from my store here in Anaheim, California with another video. We've been doing a lot of videos lately, dude.
Yep.
Yeah. What's nice about Von Schweikert Audio, they're in Riverside. So they're 20 miles.
We're local.
Yeah, they're close to the store. So you're here, I'm there, we're doing stuff. So here with Damon Von Schweikert, of course. And today we've talked a lot about different speakers. Okay, we've done videos on all different models. One model we've not done a video on, and maybe one of your most popular models, at least with my customers, is the VR55. Correct. This is the version with the power woofers. Mm-hmm. Let me restate that. Booster woofers.
Foundation amps.
Foundation amps.
Yes.
Okay. And this finish is the piano, violin, or what's
high gloss piano black.
Piano black. Yeah.
This was the first finish we had to get right. You know, to me, it's like if you can't do this, you can't graduate to other things.
So you don't know this story, but I had a customer come in and he owns a grand piano by one of the big piano companies. I mean, he spent 6 figures on this piano, and it's black. And he walked up to the speaker and he said, Scott, he goes, the finish on this speaker is nicer than my 6-figure grand piano. That's what he told me.
I love hearing that. This is a lot of effort on our part, and we're very excited to be able to offer it to customers.
So, okay, let's talk about the speaker, kind of the heritage of the speaker, and the driver complement. Let's just have a discussion about the VR55. The VR series is in the middle of your line. You've got the Endeavor series, you've got the VR series, you've got the Ultra series.
Correct.
And this particular model is in the middle of the VR series.
Right.
So you can get the speaker with completely passive, no booster amp. You can get it just like it is, like this model is, with the booster amp, or you can get it in the special edition version, which has the upgraded
ultra mid-range
from the Ultra line, plus associated crossovers and wire whatever inside to make it integrate and all that. But that adds 10 grand to the equation, and it actually is quite a bit more. The mid-range is completely different. Most people, when they buy the speaker, they upgrade to the SE.
That's true. Yeah.
So
many have.
Okay, so let's talk about this speaker real quick. This is the same cabinet that the other VRs are in and the Ultra 55s are in, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Same exact cabinet.
Yeah, it originally came out in 2014.
Yeah.
This was probably one of the last production models that my father did for our company.
Yeah.
And it was the first model to introduce what has widely become popular with our speakers, the fusion of the Accuton ceramic drivers with the beryllium tweeter.
Yeah. And of course, this driver, we have a fixed camera today, but this has the rear ribbon tweeter, also the ambient tweeter.
Correct.
It's called the Air?
Air Network, ambient inverse replication, but yes, a rear tweeter with attenuator, right, for adjusting to the room.
Yeah, you can adjust it and so forth. All right, so this has your beryllium tweeter that you use in most of your models.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this has the Accuton mid-range driver.
Ceramic mid-range and ceramic woofers, dual woofers.
Yeah.
Now, I did say it came out in 2014, but what we're showing right here is the Mark II version.
Yes.
So it's been, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
You're right. This has been an extremely popular design.
Yeah.
In fact, the driver complement really encouraged us to pursue what we could do from the ultimate performance standpoint, and that created the Ultra line.
So how long has the Mark II version been out?
About maybe 7 months.
Yeah.
It started delivering relatively
last spring, last summer.
Yeah, last summer. Actually, I think it was more like August, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How much does it weigh? Do we know?
I think this is 185 pounds. Dry.
Yeah. It is. It's over 150. Getting them up the stairs to this upstairs.
Yeah, it might have felt like 200 coming up the stairs. Yeah,
no easy feat. Yeah. So, in terms of the booster amp, so that's fully adjustable.
Correct.
And so that the viewers know, explain the booster amp, the amps on the speaker. so it's clear to people.
Right.
Like, for example, we're running this particular setup up here today on this Solution Stereo app, right? So the woofers see your primary amp. That's where they get the primary signal.
Yeah.
The booster amp just supplements bass, really current.
Right.
You know, on the bass frequencies.
Correct. Yeah. So the whole purpose of it, I guess we'll start with, you know, we came out with this initially in 2004 in the DB99.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a high efficiency speaker, but we wanted to integrate with SET. So it was, back then we called it a booster amp. Well, now we're in the 4th generation of this technology, and we realize that it can do so much more.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge with any, you know, traditional passive speaker, of which we make many, is, you know, the room is ultimately going to tell you how linear that speaker is going to be in your environment. And oftentimes, you know, the biggest complaint I hear from audiophiles, you know, regardless of brand, is I'm having trouble getting the best bass for my
Number one complaint with my customers.
Right. So we look for elegant solutions, and we believe this is one. This is an analog solution. This is not digital signal processing.
Yeah. There's no DSP.
No, we understand that the speaker can only degrade a signal. It cannot improve a signal. So anything we can do to have the smallest footprint on that signal will give you the best ultimate performance.
Yeah.
So basically, like you said, we're taking the high-level signal from the amplifier, in this case Solution, and we run it into the bottom pair of binding posts. We run that through, it's a little complicated, but we go through a Lundahl transformer that completely electronically isolates the electronics, so there's no chance of damage back and forth, regardless of how your amplifier is grounded. That feeds into the amplifier, and that goes into a passive network, so the passive network's still there, and that feeds the drivers. We do all of that to give you that gain control. And now, you know, you dictate where the speaker is going to go based on, you know, but based on soundstage, based on aesthetics.
Yeah, and you can actually put the speaker way closer to the rear wall.
Very close to the wall. Or you can have it free air. You can do both.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a customer who has a beautiful giant room. He has this beautiful fireplace coming down the middle.
Yeah.
The speakers sit either side. There's 20 feet of air behind the speakers, but we have them dialed flat right there.
Yeah.
So,
So it really gives the customer a lot of flexibility in terms of dialing in their bass response for their room.
You don't realize how important it is until you experience it.
It's crazy. No, I do realize. And so do customers when they hear it.
Once they hear it. But, you know, and I'm the same way. I have to hear it for myself.
And then, not to kind of beat this thing, but when you add the rear, in this room, you guys can't see it, but in the rear, we have the two small Von Schweikert woofers.
Correct.
The small shock waves back there.
10 inches.
And what they do is they balance the bass pressure.
Right.
I mean, we just were downstairs with the Ultra 7s and your 12-inch shock waves.
Right.
And that bass is crazy down there. It's so visceral and effortless and foundational. You know, something hits a low note and it just boom. It just you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, so we call this technology our ARC technology, right? Active room correction, right? So, so we're tied into the bottom pair of binding posts with a line level signal, and then you know we're basically just adjusting phase, timing, and amplitude, to in crossover to equalize that pressure. So the speakers launch at the front of the room, and these correct to cancel or equalize to cut to equalize at the back of the room. No standing wave. So you got none of that distortion of another wave coming in affecting your next wave launch.
And you can hear it so easily.
It makes the mids and highs sound better.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Wonderful.
Well, this room's 31 feet long. It's not a huge room, but it's decently long. And that really helps to kind of balance out the bass pressure in the listening.
Oh yeah, and actually when you walk around the room when those are active, there's no notes in the room.
It's true.
And the room sounds very natural when the system's running.
Let's talk about amplifiers on these speakers. So for years and years, you guys showed with VAC, a super high-end tube amp.
That we carry,
we're one of their platinum dealers. And it's a very low noise, very low coloration, and low distortion tube amp.
Absolutely.
Frankly, it's an amazing piece of gear.
It is.
Kevin knocks it out of the park
He does.
with his amps. However, the speaker's amazing on the tube gear, but we use also tons of really low noise, low coloration solid state gear on them.
Yeah.
And I think the speaker even goes to a whole nother level.
When it comes to amplifiers, we're agnostic. We want to make a neutral product that will play very well with other neutral products. So if you have a high-end, low distortion, fast amplification, tube, solid state, whatever it is, that's what you're looking for.
And I have a customer that bought some Ultra 7s from us, and he frankly had just mediocre amplification.
Right.
And I explained to him, I said, hey, listen, you really need to up your game on your amplification. Oh, it's got the booster amps. Yeah. I said, it does.
It does.
But the speaker still sees that signal from the primary amp.
Right. You can't improve it.
He bought a crazy amp from us.
Right.
And it is absolutely, he had no idea what he was missing.
Right. That's true.
So we put the crazy amp in there, turned it on, he was like, oh my God. And the bass was crazy.
When it sounds great, but you and I both know what you can achieve with performance. What's nice is our products scale with the gear you put in front of it. So.
Yeah. This speaker has two sets of binding posts. Okay. One for the woofers and one for the mid-tweets. And we run generally two sets of speaker cables.
Right.
Explain for the viewers why you prefer that versus jumpers.
Okay, so internally in our speaker, again, it's all about lowering distortion. Not just electrical distortion, but any type of physical distortion, resonances, what have you. To do that, part of that is we have what we call distributed networks. So our woofer network is isolated from our mid-range from our tweeter.
So wait a second. Wait. So let's drill down on that for a second. Inside the speaker, you do not have a circuit board on the bottom with a bunch of components and wires going
or on a back plate. Right.
That's crazy because you're the only speaker company that I know that does that. You strategically place crossover parts inside the cabinet.
Right, to isolate them.
From what?
From noise. So from themselves. Even so, the printed circuit boards look beautiful. They're high tech. Yeah. There's some really great high quality circuit boards. But from our standpoint, again, protecting the signal, we want to have the lowest number of terminations. Yeah. So we do point-to-point from our parts. We're not putting in a medium in between them. Yeah. And then the boards are isolated from each other, right? Yeah. We don't want the woofers generating a field into the coils or inductors of the mid-range or the tweeter. Yeah. But also, even on the individual boards, they're isolated. Yeah. So we have our capacitors isolated from our inductors. So that's all happening on the inside. So we have physical and electrical isolation. Yeah. Then when you run when you ground to the amplifier with bi-wire cables, now the amplifier sees two totally separate networks, and it's not restricted in how it feeds or the speed at which it feeds to either network. So you're continuing the design philosophy that we have by grounding at the amplifier, thus completely isolating electronically and physically.
We have come to find that the performance of the speakers really does increase.
It is dramatic
when we run two different sets of speaker cable. The same speaker cable, but in two runs. Sure. Unfortunately, with a high-end speaker like this, it benefits from it.
It does.
So
and we want, people can choose to wire it the way they want, but we recommend that. And you are getting the most out of the design by doing it that way.
All right, so we've talked about that. What about power cords on that amp?
Yeah. So, there was a time where we said, you just want to have a decent power cord.
Not the case. Yeah, not the case.
Once you put, it's crazy, but the better power cord you have, the better grounding you have. We're talking power here. You're amplifying, right? So if there's distortion that's coming in through the power, you're amplifying that. Well, anything to eliminate that is going to come through dramatically.
What I found is downstairs on the Ultra 7s, we have the Synergistic Research SRX XL power cords. So they're the high current power cords. Right. And when I plug those in on the woofers, on the speakers, I could not believe it. Yeah. I would have said they're not going to make that big of a difference.
Well, I hate to say that. I've told customers for years that I tell people, well, okay, for your subwoofers, for the booster amp, you don't have to, spend the money on your power amps or whatever. And then we had some extra cables at a show, and we threw them on. It was like I was hearing vibrato in vocals, and this is just on the subs that I never heard before, and it's because we're lowering the distortion.
So downstairs in my other room, we have the 2 big shockwaves. We just listen to that system, and I have very good power chords on those.
Yeah.
They're not the best, but they're very good.
Yeah.
The transparency.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you have subwoofers, invest in nice power cords and nice interconnects to the subwoofers. It will aid in the transparency of the subwoofers. You have
not just that, but even the vocals and mids, because you're eliminating.
You have no idea those are even on downstairs.
No.
It's insane.
Well,
We just had another person here listening to the system downstairs. The woofer is only a foot away from the seating position.
Yeah.
You have no idea the woofer's even on.
That's because they're integrated properly.
It's crazy. Yeah. So great information. Hope the viewers enjoyed that. Anything I've missed on this thing? We have a ribbon rear ambient tweeter. We talked about that. Let's talk about the footers real quick.
Okay.
Whole world in and of itself. Footers.
Yeah, right.
So the speaker comes stock with some brass spikes.
They're coated. They sound wonderful for what they are.
But any high-end speaker really benefits from a high-quality footer. Now, you guys have a relationship with Critical Mass.
Correct.
And they have built you guys some footers for your speakers.
Right, the LS footers, yes.
Yes, which are on these, okay? And they're not cheap.
No.
I mean, people always squirm,
Right.
And I just bring them out to customers' houses and
just listen to it.
Listen to it.
It's that's the thing. I'm a show me kind of guy.
Yeah.
I have to be. And when we're selecting our components and stuff, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
These blew me away, and I'm a pretty big advocate.
Yeah.
We're trying to hit a price point, so we have the brass spikes in there, and they're great.
Sure.
But for those that want to make that investment initially, or maybe a year later, it's a game changer.
Guys, if you have a nice pair of Von Schweikerts, okay, and you have stock footers or no footers or some half-ass footers, seriously, you are missing the boat on the performance of the speaker. Everything about the speaker changes. The bass gets better.
The soundstage.
The mid-range is clear.
Yeah.
The soundstage is more vast.
I feel like I move into the soundstage. It kind of comes around. It comes up. It's
the
wild.
top is smoother and more holographic.
Holographic. Yeah.
So word to the wise.
It's not small.
It's not small.
No.
It's not small.
Yeah.
So a lot of people overlook it, but the footer on any speaker is huge.
Yeah.
Frankly, it is huge. Hey, buddy. As always, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I love coming by.
Yeah, and thanks for talking to us about the VR55 Mark II. And any questions, contact Scott Walker Audio. We connect you to the moment.